This kid's crying. Do something.
Alright, this is Comic Book Lexicon. I'm Stephen Thomas.
And I'm Joshua of Grand Rapids.
And we're looking at Wolverine Volume 1, Issue number 4. So this is the last issue of this series. It's written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Frank Miller. The inks are Joseph Rubinstein. The letters are Tom Orzechowski. And the colors are Glynis Wein.
Yeah.
It's published in 1982. Where we left off...
Issue number 3, they have established that Yukio is now got a contract out on her because she didn't kill Wolverine.
Yep.
And
she assassinates,
yeah.
Or she accidentally kills Asano.
Yeah, while she's back at Wolverine's place and Asano's entering there, she thinks it's someone to kill her. She kills Asano, and Wolverine will not forgive that. And so he tells her, I don't know if you're trying to kill me or what, because he recognizes like a few other things that he puts together.
Yeah.
Not realizing that she may have been an assassin and into him independently.
Yeah.
And he thinks it was all some sort of ruse, and he's like, kill me now or fuck off. And so she does. And
he chases her.
Yep.
And they end up like the hand is there. He kills a bunch of members of the hand, and then at the end of that issue, it talks about basically he realizes that he loves Mariko, he loves Yukio, and he kind of let them both down. But he's gonna go find Shinjin and confront him.
Yeah, and they've both kind of independently decided that they have to go and to dispatch Shinjin for their own reasons.
Yeah, Yukio and Wolverine. So,
but they're not doing this together.
No. So issue 4 starts with this. Again, this is another iconic drawing that we see a lot. I'm sure this has been swiped before. It's a weird pose.
And it honestly might even be a swipe itself.
Yeah,
like
it could be.
Like Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing or something like that.
Okay. And then I'm trying to remember what happens here.
This is him. So, like, my friend that wanted to take down that consolidation of power crap that was going on.
Yeah.
I told him to fuck off, so now I'm operating out of guilt and doing everything he asked for my help with.
Okay.
And I'm taking down all the spokes of this crime empire. So this is a drug deal with a massive amount of heroin and a suitcase of money. And then this guy's basically like, oh no, my heroin, my money. And there's no Japanese money that's green, but I guess you have to have...
I love this. I don't know why this panel, it's like, they're just like not paying attention. He just like scoots through.
It's like the videos from like 2012 of people getting drive-through and someone from the car behind just like running between the car and the person passing it on and screaming and grabbing the
exactly
food.
Like that.
It's just like that. It's like a mischievous little kid.
And they're both like, what the hell, man?
I just love that even though he says his money, you can't have it be this like blue or purple Japanese money that like most of their paper notes are. It has to be green, so Westerners know it's money.
So yes. And so he's like, I have a message for your boss. Tell Lord Shinjin that Wolverine is coming for him.
I'm Batman.
And then it talks about like how basically Shinjin had built up this whole organization and Wolverine's just trying to fuck with it now.
Yeah, Wolverine's being Batman.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Even to the degree that he's decided to honor Mariko and the things that he's learned from that. He's not killing people anymore. He's delivering these guys to the cops. So like, Wolverine's being Batman. Just lame.
And then it talks about how Shinjin had tasked his finest assassin or ninja to kill Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then he gets this package and he opens it and it's just a ninja hood and a note and it just says tonight, which is I mean, it's just funny. Like, it's, I don't know.
Tonight by the tetherball pole.
Yeah. Like challenging him to this duel or whatever.
Don't bring your friends if you're not a pussy.
Yeah. And like again, it talks about how he dispatched all those ninjas. I always said this is interesting when comic book artists do this. Still, even for me, I have not experimented with this idea where you take one panel and you chop it up into 3. It's like you're just kind of like, it's just a compositional tool, I suppose.
It's compositional, and it's to kind of decompress the time, so it like gives you the impression that like all this shit is flying through the air in slow motion.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And you've got that reverse swastika shuriken that he will later use to great effect in Sin City, right?
Yeah, yep. For I can't remember her name.
I think her name's Yukio again.
It might be, yeah, it might be.
Or no, it's Miho.
Miho, yes. Yeah. Yep. So now he's planning his like confrontation with Shinjin, and then it gives you this brief history of the Yoshida clan, which is like his family, Maruko's family. And then like we talked about here is how now Maruko, now she loves Wolverine again, right?
Yeah, now that she realizes that her dad's a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, this video just got demonetized.
Yep.
Now that she realized her dad's a bad guy, she's got some very Montague Capulet vibes going on. What do I do? I know what I feel, but what do I do?
Yeah. And then one of the ninja dudes, he realizes that the dogs are dead, which is interesting because like a few issues, like they made a point of Wolverine not killing the dogs, and then Yukio has now killed the dogs. And then as he figures it out, receives 3 knives in the back.
Examples followed don't have to always be reciprocal.
Yes. As she's also planning her assault on Shinjin at this point. She's trying to sneak into his place.
And it's a suicide mission as far as she's concerned.
Yeah, and she's caught, and she's brought in front of Shinjin. He cuts her free and is like, "Come at me," basically.
She tells him, because at first he's like, "How dare you? You disobeyed my orders, and now you think like as repentance you're gonna pay with my life instead of yours," basically. And she's like, "You don't fucking own me. I'm my own person. I voluntarily worked for you, and I'm voluntarily getting revenge for where I was wronged."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You know what? I respect that a little bit.
Yeah.
I still hate you though, but we're gonna fight."
Yeah. And then, like I said, off camera, this is such a violent panel to me, because like don't
punch women. I mean, don't punch people in the stomach in general, but don't punch women in the stomach.
Yeah, and it's just so like she's just keeled over, and he's like picking her up, like with his fist. Then he boots her in the face, and now he's stepping on her back while she's in like agony. So this is a very violent sequence right here, and part of that, I mean, makes sense because Maruko, after she had just walked away from Wolverine for being berserk, now she's seen her father, who she's committed a lot of her life to, her existence to, beat the shit out of a woman and be extremely violent and nasty.
Yes. She's not some guard with a basket on her head. Like, she's a woman that Maruko has seen a bunch of times. So, like, there's familiarity, there's femininity, there's, like, all these things to make it hit really, really close to home.
She's like, "Stop it, you're going to kill her." And he's like, "Do not tempt my wrath, child."
Yeah.
Like, because, like you said, like, it's almost like she belongs to him.
Yeah, his protection that he has had over her in all the previous issues where, you know, people know I will not let harm come to my daughter and all this thing. Like, he's told a couple people, if anything happens to my daughter, if you lay a hand on my daughter, you'll be dead.
Yeah.
None of it's love. It's all ownership.
Yeah.
These people can't fuck you up because you're mine. I can fuck you up.
Yeah.
It's super jacked.
Yeah, and like she's like a trophy or a tool or she represents something to him that's not like out of love. It's I don't know.
She's a part of his empire.
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
She exists as a perfect thing because she represents him.
Yes. Now Wolverine killed all these hand guys, and then Shinjin, realizing Wolverine has arrived, is getting ready to face off with him for the last time. Mariko's husband, Noburu, is like, let's get out of here while they're fighting.
Yeah, and tries using Mariko as a hostage
Yeah.
Hostage/human shield, I should say.
Yep. And he fires one off at Wolverine. While he's doing that, he catches 3 blades in the back, and you get we want this to be violent, but we don't want to break the code, so you get the...
Yeah. Well, the blood splatter is just an effect because he's all red, too.
Yes.
It's a spotlight.
Yes. And you realize Yukio is the one who had killed Mariko's husband to save Wolverine. I mean,
she kind of Zorro's the sash on Mariko's, on her kimono.
Yeah. And they meet for a second and they kiss. It says, I'm tough when I have to be. I'd like to stay and fight by your side, but he's like, you can't. And they both know that she has to just go.
Yeah.
And he says here, I can't forgive her for Asano, and I can never repay her for Mariko. So basically, like, she saved Mariko.
Right. He owes her for saving Mariko and for sparing her because he knows how wrathful this woman is.
Yeah.
But it still makes 0 sense.
Yeah,
right?
I don't...
Like, you did Asano dirty. She didn't do shit. You told your friend to fuck off. Everything that followed was an accident.
Total accident, yeah.
And you're like, nope, not my fault, her fault.
And you were all drunk when it happened. It's like...
This guy is great with women.
You know what time it is? It's fuck time.
So now, as Wolverine... It's just this very dramatic moment of, like, Wolverine's like, it's time to, like, for the final chapter of this story or whatever, he's going to fight Shinjin.
Yes. It's a nasty fight.
Yeah, this is a... You know, if you're able to, like, look at a lot of the old Frank Miller Daredevils, you see these horizontal panels quite a bit. And then by the time he hits Ronin, he's starting to sort of change that a little bit. You see a lot of that in there, but not as much. And then Dark Knight is its own, like, layouts that are quite a bit different than I think this is. But this is, to me, is like the height of him doing these widescreen fight sequences or whatever.
And they also did, in the first issue, as many problems as I have with the first issue, they did a really good job setting this up.
Yeah.
Because Wolverine had his ass handed to him and his balls knocked into his skull with a wooden sword against his 6 adamantium claws. And so you know there actually are stakes in this fight. Because this guy's got a real blade now.
Yep. And it even says, I cut deep. Shinjin cuts deeper. I'm hurt bad. He knows it. But no quarter is asked and none given. It's like, that's Chris Claremont, but it feels like Frank Miller. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think that's one of my things that I really enjoy about this series, as flawed as it is. Claremont starts off very Claremont and ends kind of like realizing how much room Miller deserves.
Yeah.
And is Miller's writing style as much Miller as it is just, I'm a cartoonist, I know what the story needs, and that simplicity lends to this kind of language.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, really violent. I mean, you see it into the arm. I always liked this drawing right here for two. One, this looks like maybe he was looking at a baseball.
Yeah.
And then
I'm going to see that forever now.
But then I don't know why I love this pose where he's covering up with both claws, like very Wolverine, but he's like kneeling. And then you have the big, like almost like an ellipse. I don't know, it's so great. And then finally you follow it down here to the final moments.
Talking about weird things, like when you notice that baseball, I feel like this was cleaned up in post, so to speak. Like we hear about, assistants in the bullpen getting tasked with making things more friendly for the code all the time and changing people's art. Not only is the sword blackened in the back, but it's like, oh, we just took care of the kidney.
Yeah.
We didn't really impale Wolverine.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't look like it's coming in at the hip. It looks deeper. It looks like it's coming in right under the navel and coming out right next to his spine.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it might have been one of those things that they saw it and they were like, we gotta like try to.
Yeah.
And it's the thing sometimes like in movies and comic books, I'm sure especially in comic books, they probably did that. It's like, we can leave the overall tone of this. We gotta like nitpick little things to sort of like bring down the level. It's like somehow the movie The Dark Knight got a PG-13 rating, even though it's like a pretty rough movie. But I think that they probably did that by little here and a little there, and somehow they can justify it. And then it finishes, and I always love this, like just 80s horror movie eye, like just totally red eyes, and then the fame, snicked or whatever.
Well, he when he was kneeling in front of Shinjin, he was doing a line off the floor, so his eyes are just super.
It's totally lit up.
Yeah.
And then here at the end, this is a little bit, I don't know if it's complicated, but basically, she picks up this sword, and this sword has been in the family, this royal Yoshida clan family blade for hundreds of years. It
was made 800 years ago by a master swordsmith with the same name as the guy that made Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. And she's basically saying, like, my father has disgraced our family name.
Yeah.
And she gives the sword to Logan, right?
Yes.
Because she says, and he says, I'm not worthy.
I am not Batman.
And then she says, you fought for the good of others, for right, for truth. Shinjin for greed, and ultimately for survival, though you believe that such a course would cost you everything. Thereby, beloved, you prove that you are what Shinjin could never hope to be. I stopped like reading
it's
that.
It's very Arthurian.
Yeah. Yep.
But he takes it as a pledge of love rather than a pledge of honor. So here they are embracing.
Yeah.
And the end is kind of goofy looking.
And I said this doesn't even look like a Frank Miller drawing to me. It looks like
this looks like Neil Adams. Storm looks like John Byrne.
This looks like art with the big eyes.
I wonder if Frank Miller, they're like, okay, we can deal with him drawing Wolverine, but he's too off model with the X-Men, and so they had assistants do some weird gimmick afterward and just smear all over this page whatever the editor wanted, because this is still obviously Miller.
Yeah, this looks like Miller.
Especially, I mean, look at her eyes. I mean, those are 100% Miller eyes.
Yeah, and he's got the cheekbones and the everything.
He looks like Dee Ramone with Wolverine.
But yeah, it almost seems like, I wonder if Frank Miller wanted to end it with just this and then this.
Yeah.
And they were like, I mean, who knows? I'm not going to speculate on anything that I don't. So overall, the whole Wolverine Volume 1 is really, it's much more messy than I remember it being.
It's better than a book this messy ought to be, but it's also more significant than it is good.
Yeah.
Which is not to shit on it, but I feel like everyone involved on the fictional and the creative end came out more fully formed than they came in.
Yeah, and I think we can only understand the context so much because we're not old enough to really understand it. But when they started this, I wonder if, like, it would have been strange to write the story not really having the history of Wolverine that we already have at our age.
Right.
We grew up with the character already fully formed, and they're like
Yes.
trying to create this history with him. But it's a very messy story. Not just, I don't just mean like the writing and the drawing, but the Wolverine is a very messy. He's a mess in the story.
Yeah, he's not a consistent person.
No.
Like he doesn't even have any kind of discernible specified logic. But at least he has an arc.
Yeah.
Because the Wolverine at the beginning of this, like, let's see. Where's the dumb page of him marching away from Asano? There we go. Like, this is the Wolverine that everyone who oversimplifies Wolverine, like the DC people that made Lobo to make fun of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Wolverine that people talk about when they're engaging in that oversimplification. Like, you can't tell me what to do. I like this girl. I'm going to go sab stuff.
Yeah.
Bye. The Wolverine at the end of this, he's not all the way there, but he is a logical predecessor, at the very least, to the Wolverine that we come to know, who, like, if you read X-Men and everyone's sitting around, like, no matter who's the smart one is in the room, like, I don't care if it's Beast or whoever, like, Wolverine is the most likely person to be sitting in the corner and reading a book.
Yeah. He's like a...
Like, Beast quotes books. I'm sure Storm has read every book, but Wolverine will always, like, just be, like, in a meditative state, very internalized, and not in a, like, sad boy way.
Yeah.
He's just a very contemplative person, and that is meant to take any newcomer off guard.
Yeah.
So it's like every story arc ends with that breather issue, and in that breather issue you're going to see this side of Wolverine that you didn't expect. And I think the seeds of that Wolverine are planted in this.
Yeah. When you said it in one of the earlier videos, it's very much like he's going from being, at least his identity, from being like almost like a young man who's like emotional and drunk, and then at the end of that third issue he taps into this feeling of like a realization that he has to be an adult.
Yeah.
About his feelings in his life and the people in his life.
Yeah, this is stabby superhero Garden State.
Yeah.
Except if you want to talk about things being better than things, this is at least better than Garden State.
Oh yes.
Garden State
10,000 times better than Garden State.
You wouldn't need to kickstart a sequel to this.
Yeah. So that's Wolverine Volume 1, all 4 issues. We're going to be doing more Wolverine videos pretty soon here. But we're releasing all these videos each as their own individual video, and then eventually we're going to put out one where we mend them all together, so if you want to watch them all as one.
Yeah.
And then...
it'll be like a movie.
Yes. A very exciting movie.
Super exciting.
Yes. My Instagram and Josh's Instagram and our comic book lexicon Instagram are all in the description of this video. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thanks.